This is History Philo. Please like, comment, and subscribe.
Rome at its height was the most powerful empire the world had ever seen. Its emperors ruled over vast lands and countless peoples, from the misty forests of Britain to the deserts of Arabia. Among these emperors, one name stands out: Hadrian. To many, Hadrian is remembered as a builder, a philosopher-king, a lover of art and architecture. He constructed walls, monuments, and temples that still stand today. But there is another side to Hadrian's legacy, a darker side. In the early 2nd century, he presided over the bloodiest rebellion the Jewish people had ever fought, the Bar Kokhba revolt. His response to this uprising was nothing short of catastrophic. Ancient sources tell us that over 500,000 Jews were killed, their towns and villages destroyed, their lands scorched and depopulated. So why did Hadrian massacre the Jews? Was it personal? Political? Religious? Or was it simply the brutal logic of empire? In this video, we'll explore the roots of the conflict between Rome and the Jewish people, the course of the Bar Kokhba revolt, and the reasons Hadrian unleashed such devastating violence. This is not just a story about an emperor and a rebellion. It is a story about identity, faith, and survival, set against the backdrop of the most powerful empire in history. Hadrian came to power in 117 CE, inheriting an empire that stretched from the Atlantic Ocean to the Persian Gulf. He was no ordinary ruler. Unlike his predecessor, Trajan, who sought glory and conquest, Hadrian believed Rome had reached its natural limits. His mission was not expansion, but consolidation. In Britain, he ordered the construction of a massive stone wall to mark the edge of empire, the famous Hadrian's Wall. In Rome, he rebuilt the Pantheon, giving the city one of its most iconic monuments. Across the empire, he left behind temples, libraries, theatres, and fortresses. Hadrian was also deeply influenced by Greek culture. He admired Greek philosophy, architecture, and art. He saw himself not just as a Roman emperor, but as a cultured statesman, a man who could unify the empire through shared traditions of learning and beauty. But beneath the cultured exterior lay a man with a hard edge. Hadrian was pragmatic, even ruthless, when it came to protecting imperial stability. He demanded unity, obedience, and loyalty from the diverse peoples of the empire. To Hadrian, rebellion was not merely defiance, it was an existential threat. And when it came to the Jewish people, their unique devotion to one God, their refusal to worship the Roman Pantheon, and their stubborn resistance to assimilation marked them as perpetual outsiders. This clash between Hadrian's vision of unity and the Jewish determination to remain distinct would prove explosive. The roots of Hadrian's conflict with the Jews go back decades. In 66 CE, long before Hadrian's reign, Judea erupted in revolt against Rome. The result was catastrophic for the Jewish people. Roman legions besieged Jerusalem, and in the year 70 CE, the Second Temple, the heart of Jewish worship, was destroyed. But even that did not end Jewish resistance. In 115 CE, during Hadrian's rise to power, another wave of revolts broke out across the eastern provinces. Jews in North Africa, Cyprus, and Mesopotamia rebelled, massacring Roman settlers before being crushed in return. To Hadrian, Judea looked like a land incapable of peace, so he pursued a radical solution: remake the province entirely. He planned to rebuild Jerusalem as a Roman colony, renaming it Aelia Capitolina. In place of Jewish sanctity, he would raise temples to Jupiter and Roman gods. For Jews, this was sacrilege. Their holy city, the city of David, the site of the destroyed temple, turned into a pagan shrine. And then came another blow. Hadrian banned the practice of circumcision. To Roman eyes, circumcision was mutilation. To Jews, it was the sacred sign of their covenant with God. These measures were more than insults, they were existential threats. They targeted the very foundations of Jewish identity. And the Jewish people, already scarred by past defeats, would not stand for it. In 132 CE, Judea exploded. The Jewish people rose in one of the most determined revolts against Roman rule, the Bar Kokhba revolt. The movement centered on a charismatic leader named Simon Bar Kokhba. His name means Son of the Star, a reference to a messianic prophecy. Many Jews hailed him as the Messiah, the chosen one who would restore Israel's freedom. Under Bar Kokhba's command, the rebels fought with remarkable skill. They seized fortified positions, launched guerrilla attacks, and even minted their own coins, stamping their claim to independence. For a time, Judea was free again. But Hadrian could not allow this. The emperor understood the danger all too well. If Judea could defy Rome successfully, then other provinces might follow. Egypt, Syria, Gaul, all could be inspired to throw off Roman rule. So Hadrian escalated. He summoned his best general. Entire villages were wiped out. Fields were salted, ensuring nothing could grow. Survivors were sold into slavery. Judea was left a wasteland. Julius Severus from Britain and redeployed legions from across the empire. This was no minor rebellion. This was war. The fighting was brutal. Roman forces struggled against Jewish guerrilla tactics as fighters vanished into caves and tunnels, striking with sudden fury. Villages became battlegrounds, farms turned into fortresses. Every hill and valley echoed with the clash of war. But Rome was relentless. Slowly, systematically, they tightened the noose. They laid siege to strongholds. They cut off supplies. They starved the rebels out of hiding. The war dragged on for 3 years. By its end, Judea was devastated. The dream of independence had been crushed beneath the might of Rome. But why did Hadrian's response go beyond crushing the revolt? Why did it become a massacre? First, deterrence. Rome ruled by fear as much as law. Hadrian believed that only total destruction would stop Judea from rebelling again. By turning the land into a graveyard, he hoped to warn other provinces. Resist Rome, and you will share this fate. Second, ideology. To Hadrian, Jewish practices were incompatible with Roman unity. Circumcision, monotheism, rejection of Roman gods. These were more than religious differences. They were seen as stubborn refusal to join the Roman world. By destroying Jewish resistance, Hadrian was imposing cultural conformity. Third, prestige. The revolt embarrassed Rome. It tied down its armies, cost countless lives, and threatened Hadrian's image as a stabilizing ruler. Massacre was not just punishment, it was retribution. There is no question the devastation was enormous. To Hadrian, this was victory. To the Jewish people, it was catastrophe. The aftermath of the Bar Kokhba revolt was devastating. Hadrian issued harsh decrees. Jews were banned from Jerusalem, allowed back only 1 day a year to mourn the temple's destruction. The province itself was renamed Syria Palestina, erasing the name Judea from the map. It was an attempt to erase Jewish identity from its homeland. For the Jewish people, this was the beginning of centuries in diaspora. Scattered across the Mediterranean and beyond, they carried their traditions into exile. Their homeland was lost, but their faith and identity endured. Hadrian wanted to erase Jewish resistance forever. Instead, his actions became a defining chapter in Jewish history. His massacre was driven by politics, ideology, and pride. To secure Rome, he destroyed Judea. But though Judea was shattered, the Jewish people endured. They carried their faith through exile, through centuries of struggle, and into the modern world. Rome believed it had the power to silence a nation, but Rome fell, and the Jewish people survived. This is the paradox of Hadrian's legacy. The emperor who built walls and monuments to last forever also tried to erase a people who still live on today.